Let's talk about something that most people watch, but very few people talk about honestly. Something that's everywhere. On phones, on laptops, on social media, on ads, on jokes, on memes. Something that many people say is normal now. The adult film industry. In America, it's not hidden anymore. It's not shocking anymore. It's not even controversial for many people. But the real question is, how did this happen? Why did an entire society slowly accept it as normal? This video is not about judging anyone. It's not about shaming. It's about understanding. Because you can't fix something you don't understand first. 1. Normalization didn't happen overnight. A lot of people think America just woke up one day and decided this is okay. That's not true. Normalization happens slowly, step by step, over decades. Like boiling water. If you throw a frog into boiling water, it jumps out. But if you heat the water slowly, the frog doesn't notice. That's exactly how normalization works. 2. The role of media and Hollywood. Let's go back a few decades. Old American movies were very different. Kissing scenes were short, sex wasn't shown, intimacy was private. Now compare that to today. Explicit scenes in mainstream shows, sexual jokes everywhere. Nudity used to get attention. What changed? Hollywood learned something very powerful. Sex sells. When ratings drop, add sexual content. When views drop, add shock. When attention drops, push boundaries. Slowly, people became used to it. What once felt too much started feeling normal. And what felt normal started feeling boring. So the industry kept pushing further. 3. Internet changed everything. This is the biggest reason. Before the internet, you had to go out of your way. There was embarrassment, there were barriers. After the internet, free access, total privacy, unlimited content. Now imagine this. A 13-year-old kid with a smartphone alone in his room with unlimited access. No warnings, no education, no guidance. That kid grows up thinking, this is normal. Everyone watches this. And when everyone grows up thinking that, normalization is complete. 4. America's obsession with freedom. America is built on one core idea: freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of choice, freedom of expression. This is a powerful idea. But here's the problem. Freedom without responsibility slowly turns into chaos. In America, the argument became, if it doesn't hurt anyone, why ban it? So the industry was defended as personal choice, entertainment, expression. Questioning it started sounding like being old-fashioned, being controlling, being anti-freedom. So many people stayed silent. 5. Capitalism and profit. Now let's talk about money. The adult industry makes billions every year. Big money means powerful lobbying, legal protection, normalization campaigns. When something makes money, it gets defended, it gets protected, it gets marketed. Companies don't care about mental health, relationships, long-term damage. They care about clicks, views, revenue. And America is a capitalist society. If something sells well, it becomes acceptable. 6. How language was changed. Normalization doesn't just happen with images. It happens with words. Notice how language changed. Porn became adult content. Addiction became habit. Exploitative became empowering. Words soften reality. When words feel soft, people stop questioning. This was done intentionally. 7. Social media and meme culture. Social media played a huge role. Sexual jokes everywhere, explicit memes, OnlyFans jokes. Link in bio culture. When people laugh at something enough, it stops feeling serious. It becomes normal. Young people grow up seeing sexual content as humor, porn references as jokes, explicit behavior as confidence. And slowly, the line disappears. 8. Loneliness in modern America. Here's a truth people avoid. America is one of the loneliest societies. Broken families, long working hours, digital relationships, less real connection. Porn filled a gap. For many people, it became comfort, escape, fake intimacy. When something fills emotional pain, people defend it, even if it hurts them. 9. Why people defend it so hard. Have you noticed this? The strongest defenders are often the biggest users. Why? Because questioning the industry forces people to question themselves. And that's uncomfortable. It's easier to say, this is normal, than to admit, this might be harming me. So no. Normalization didn't happen because people are bad. It happened because media pushed it, internet removed barriers, money protected it, loneliness fed it. But here's the real question. What did normalization cost? And who paid the price? 1. The hidden psychological effect. No one talks about. When something becomes normal, people stop asking questions. Porn didn't just become normal in America. It became background noise. And that's dangerous. Because the brain doesn't treat porn like normal entertainment. It treats it like a super stimulus, something stronger than real life. 2. How the human brain reacts to porn. Let's keep this simple. Your brain has a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is released when you eat food, you feel loved, you achieve something, you experience pleasure. Porn releases huge amounts of dopamine, more than real intimacy, real relationships, real achievement. The brain learns fast. It starts thinking, this is the easiest way to feel good. No effort, no rejection, no emotional risk, just click and reward. 3. Why just watching turns into a habit. At first, it's curiosity. Then it becomes stress relief, boredom, escape, sleep aid, emotional comfort. The brain connects porn with relief. So next time life hurts, the brain asks for the same shortcut. That's not weakness. That's biology. 4. Tolerance. Why people need more over time. Here's the scary part. The brain adapts. What excited you before stops exciting you later. So people look for more extreme content, new categories, longer sessions, not because they want to, but because the brain needs more stimulation for the same effect. This is how normalization quietly turns into dependency. 5. Why motivation slowly disappears. Many young men in America say, I don't feel motivated anymore. I feel tired all the time. I don't care like I used to. They don't connect it to porn, but dopamine overload does this. Reduces drive, kills ambition. Makes effort feel pointless. Why work hard when instant pleasure is always available? The brain chooses the easier reward. 6. The impact on relationships. Men. Now let's talk about relationships. Porn creates unreal expectations, unreal bodies, unreal performance, unreal reactions. Real humans can't compete. So real intimacy starts feeling awkward, slow, disappointing. Some men report less attraction to real partners, performance anxiety, emotional distance. And instead of fixing the issue, they escape deeper. 7. The impact on relationships. Women. Women are affected too, just differently. Many women feel compared, insecure. Not enough. When porn shapes expectations, real connection becomes a performance. Some women feel pressure to act instead of feel, compete instead of connect. This damages trust, and trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship. 8. Emotional numbness. One of the biggest effects nobody warns about, emotional numbness. Too much artificial stimulation makes normal emotions feel weak. People report less joy, less sadness, less excitement. Life feels flat. This is why some say, "I'm not depressed, I just don't feel much." 9. How normalization affects kids and teens. This part is uncomfortable, but necessary. Many American kids see porn before they even understand intimacy. What does that teach them? Sex without emotion, people as objects, pleasure without responsibility. Their first lessons about intimacy come from an industry designed for profit. Not education, not care, not reality. 10. Confusion about identity and desire. When exposure happens early, desires get shaped artificially, curiosity turns into confusion, boundaries get blurred, young minds are still developing. Normalization removes protection. And once something is normalized, parents hesitate to talk about it. Silence becomes the teacher. 11. In shame cycle, the hidden loop. Here's the trap many fall into. Watch porn, feel temporary relief, feel guilt or shame, feel stress, watch again. Normalization doesn't remove shame, it just hides it. People say it's normal but still feel bad inside. That inner conflict eats confidence. 12. Why people get defensive. Have you noticed how angry some people get when porn is criticized? That's not confidence, that's protection. When something is tied to comfort, identity, coping, any criticism feels like a personal attack. So instead of listening, people attack back. 13. The myth of "it doesn't affect me." This is the biggest lie normalization created. Every repeated behavior affects the brain. The question is not, does it affect me? The real question is, how much and in what way? 14. Social effects, and we're seeing now. Look around American society. More loneliness, fewer marriages, less long-term commitment, more social anxiety. Porn isn't the only reason, but it's part of the puzzle. Normalization didn't come free. So now you see the cost, not in headlines, not in laws, but in minds, in relationships, in motivation, in emotions. And the scariest part? Many people don't even realize what they lost. 16. Why quitting feels so difficult. Many people try to stop. They tell themselves, just one last time. I'll stop next week. I'll control it. But they don't understand one thing. This is not just about willpower. Porn trains the brain to expect instant reward. So when someone tries to stop, the brain feels bored, life feels dull, stress feels heavier. The brain is asking, where is my shortcut? That discomfort makes people go back. Not because they are weak, because their brain was trained that way. 17. The withdrawal. No one warns about when people stop watching. They may feel irritated, restless, anxious, unmotivated. This surprises them. They think, if this was normal, why do I feel so bad without it? That question scares people. So instead of facing it, many return to what feels familiar. Normalization hides the withdrawal phase. 18. Why society still defends the industry. You might wonder, if the harm is real, why is it still defended so hard? Because admitting harm would mean admitting we were wrong. We ignored warning signs. We sacrificed health for comfort. Societies don't like self-reflection. It's easier to say, everyone does it, than to ask, what did this do to us? 19. The empowerment argument. One of the strongest defenses is empowerment. People say, it's choice, it's confidence, it's control. But here's the truth. An industry can profit from both exploitation and empowerment language. Using empowering words doesn't mean the system itself is healthy. When money is involved, the loudest voices often benefit the most. 20. How normalization silences concern. Have you noticed this? When someone questions porn, they're often labeled as conservative, insecure, controlling, ignorant. That shuts down conversation. People become afraid to speak honestly. So concerns don't disappear. They just go underground. 21. Why many users feel trapped. Here's something rarely said out loud. Many users don't actually enjoy it anymore. They just don't know how to stop. It became routine, like scrolling endlessly, even when you're not interested. That's not pleasure, that's habit. 22. The rise of quiet regret. In private conversations, many Americans admit something different. I wish I never started. I feel disconnected. It messed with my expectations. But publicly, they stay silent because admitting regret goes against the normalized story. 23. Why real intimacy feels harder now. Real intimacy requires patience, vulnerability, emotional presence. Porn requires none of that. So the brain slowly unlearns how to connect, how to wait, how to be present. This is why some people feel something is missing, but can't explain what. 24. Dating culture and instant gratification. Look at modern dating in America. Swipe culture, quick judgments, instant rejection. Porn fits perfectly into this world. Why build something slowly when instant pleasure is available? Normalization didn't just affect porn. It changed how people view connection itself. 25. How it affects self-image. Men. Many men feel inadequate, pressured, anxious. They compare themselves to unrealistic standards. That comparison kills confidence, and low confidence kills healthy relationships. 26. How it affects self-image. Women. Many women feel reduced to appearance, measured instead of valued, watched instead of known. When porn culture spreads, women often carry the emotional weight. Normalization doesn't distribute harm equally. 27. The illusion of control. A common belief is, I can stop anytime. But if that were true, most people wouldn't struggle to stop. Control isn't about intention, it's about outcomes. And for many, the outcome is repetition. 28. Why awareness is growing now. So why are people waking up now? Because the long-term effects are becoming impossible to ignore. People are asking, why am I so anxious? Why do relationships feel empty? Why do I feel disconnected from myself? They're connecting dots. 29. The role of mental health conversations. Mental health is finally being discussed openly. And when people talk honestly, patterns appear. Loneliness, dopamine burnout, emotional numbness. Porn keeps showing up in those conversations, not as the only cause, but as a contributor. 30. The shift from normal to questioned. Something important is happening. Porn is still normalized, but it's no longer unquestioned. More people are saying, just because something is common doesn't mean it's harmless. That shift matters. 31. The quiet movement of self-control. There's a growing group of people reducing consumption, choosing awareness, rebuilding focus, seeking real connection. They're not loud. They're not attacking others. They're just choosing differently. And that scares industries built on attention. 1. Why ending on hope matters. After everything we've talked about, it would be easy to end this story in darkness. But this is not a story about failure. It's a story about awareness. Every social shift in history started the same way. First, something became normal. Then, damage appeared. Then, people began to question. Finally, change followed. America is now in the questioning phase, and that's powerful. 2. Normalization can be reversed. Here's an important truth. Just because something was normalized doesn't mean it's permanent. History proves this again and again. Things once seen as normal, smoking everywhere, child labor, unsafe working conditions, all were defended, all were profitable, all were normalized. Until awareness changed everything. Porn is not immune to this process. 3. The rise of conscious choice. Something new is happening. People are no longer asking, "Is this allowed?" They're asking, "Is this good for me?" That shift changes everything. Instead of rules, people are choosing self-control. And self-control is stronger than censorship. 4. Why education is more powerful than shame. One mistake society made before was using shame. Shame never heals. It hides problems. It creates secrecy. It fuels addiction. Education does the opposite. Education gives people understanding, choice, power. The future isn't about banning. It's about knowing better. 5. Teaching the next generation differently. One of the biggest opportunities is education. Imagine a generation taught emotional intelligence, healthy relationships, real intimacy, digital discipline, not fear, not silence, but honest conversations. That alone could change everything. 6. Parents are starting to wake up. More parents are realizing, silence didn't protect my child. Access is everywhere now. Protection doesn't come from hiding reality. It comes from guiding through it. This realization is spreading. Slowly, quietly, but steadily. 7. The role of men in the healing process. Men are often told, just deal with it. But many men are exhausted, disconnected, ashamed, confused. Healing starts when men are allowed to say, "This affected me," not mocked, not dismissed, just heard. 8. The role of women in changing the culture. Women are also redefining the conversation. Many are saying, "I want real connection. I don't want to compete with a screen. I want to be seen as human." These voices matter, and they're growing louder. 9. Rebuilding dopamine the natural way. The brain can heal. This is important. Dopamine balance can return through exercise, real goals, deep relationships, creative work, purpose. It takes time, but the brain is adaptable. Just like it learned unhealthy patterns, it can learn healthy ones. 10. Why real pleasure feels different. People who step away often say, "Life feels slower, but deeper." That's because real pleasure builds gradually, requires presence. Feels meaningful. Porn offers intensity. Life offers depth. Depth lasts longer. 11. The power of boredom. Yes, really. Boredom used to be normal. Now it's avoided at all costs. But boredom is important. Boredom sparks creativity, builds patience, pushes growth. Porn kills boredom instantly, but it also kills the growth that comes after. Learning to sit with boredom is part of healing. 12. Redefining masculinity and femininity. Porn created false images of masculinity as performance, femininity as appearance. Real strength looks different. It looks like discipline, emotional presence, respect, self-control. These traits are coming back into value, slowly, but surely. 13. The internet is also part of the solution. The same internet that spread porn is now spreading awareness. People share recovery stories, honest conversations, mental health journeys. This creates balance. Technology itself isn't evil. How we use it matters. 14. Why small personal choices matter. You don't need to change society overnight. Change starts small. One person choosing awareness creates a ripple. That ripple reaches relationships, families, communities. That's how cultures shift. 15. Hold attention. So, where does this leave us? We've talked about normalization, damage awareness, healing. But there's one final question left. What kind of future do we actually want? And what does a healthy balance really look like? That's what we'll finish with in the final section of Part 3. 16. The question society must finally ask. Every generation faces a moment like this. A moment where it must stop and ask, just because we can, does that mean we should? Technology moved faster than wisdom. Porn became available before society understood its impact. Now we are catching up. And catching up starts with asking better questions. 17. A healthy society is not a perfect society. Let's be realistic. A healthy society doesn't mean no temptation, no mistakes, no struggle. It means awareness. It means people understand consequences before making choices. Normalization removed consequences from the conversation. The future must bring them back. Calmly, honestly. 18. Balance is the real goal. This conversation is often pushed to extremes. Either porn is harmless or porn is evil. Real life is more complex. The real goal is balance. Balance means knowing how your brain works, knowing your limits, knowing when something controls you. Balance puts power back in the individual's hands. 19. Why self-respect is the core issue. At its deepest level, this isn't about porn. It's about self-respect. Self-respect asks, is this helping me grow? Is this weakening me? Is this aligning with the life I want? When people reconnect with self-respect, many habits naturally fall away. 20. The future of relationships depends on. These relationships are built on presence, trust, emotional availability. A society addicted to stimulation struggles with all three. If normalization continues without reflection, relationships will continue to suffer. But if awareness spreads, relationships can heal. 21. Teaching desire. Without shame. Desire is not the enemy. Suppressing desire never works. The future requires teaching. How to manage desire, how to understand it, how to channel it. Desire guided by awareness becomes strength. Desire guided by impulse becomes control. 22. What a healthier digital culture looks like. A healthier future doesn't remove the internet. It changes how we use it. It looks like less mindless consumption, more intentional use, more creation, less escape. Screens should support life, not replace it. 23. Why this generation matters so much. This generation is different. It grew up online. It saw the effects early. It felt the burnout firsthand. That gives it something powerful. Experience. And experience creates wisdom if people are willing to listen to it. 24. The quiet revolution already happening. Not every revolution is loud. Some happen quietly. People choosing focus over distraction, depth over stimulation, meaning over pleasure. These choices don't trend, but they shape the future. 25. The industry feels the shift. When people become conscious, attention changes. And when attention changes, industries feel it. That's why conversations like this matter. Awareness is the strongest pressure. 26. You are not broken. This is important to say clearly. If this topic touched you personally, you are not broken. You were exposed early. You were human. You adapted. And humans can readapt. Healing is possible. Change is possible. Always. 27. What strength really looks like. Strength is not pretending something doesn't affect you. Strength is saying, I want better for myself. That choice takes courage, much more than following the crowd. 28. The choice. Every viewer faces, after this video, every viewer faces a quiet choice. Not a public one, not a dramatic one, a private one. to stay unconscious, or to become aware. Awareness doesn't demand perfection, it just demands honesty. 29. Ask yourself, is this habit serving me? Is it helping me become who I want to be? Or is it keeping me comfortable but stuck? Only you can answer that, and only you can choose differently. 30. Final message: normalization taught us to stop asking questions. This video is an invitation to start asking again, not with anger, not with shame, but with clarity. Because the future of any society depends on the awareness of its people. And awareness always starts with one honest moment. Before we end this entire series, there's one last thing that needs to be said. Not loudly, not aggressively, but honestly. This conversation was never about telling people what they should or shouldn't do. It was about something deeper. It was about awareness. What we normalize shapes who we become, and what we question shapes who we grow into. The choice has always been ours.